Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now August 20th of 2024, and just a couple of weeks ago, we had a lot of drama happening over at Lucasfilm HQ and the Walt Disney Company after the Acolyte was indeed cancelled. There was a lot of back and forth drama where Kathleen Kennedy was really trying to get that reinstated after Bob Iger made that call. It just came out officially yesterday that it was indeed cancelled and that they are not going to be reinstating Season 2. Bob Iger is being fully, within himself to just stick to his overall plan to not actually renew the Acolyte series by Leslye Headland at all. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So there's been a lot of problems between Leslye Headland, Kathleen Kennedy, and especially Amandla Stenberg, who by the way played Osha and May in the series. All of them have been heavily defending the series like no tomorrow. They will never admit full-on failure about the show. If anything, they are falling into a phase of desperation to really save the image of the show at all costs, and they will say whatever they have to say to really make this show come across as something that was very artistically done, that fits the George Lucas philosophy, when in reality it does not. So focusing on Amandla Stenberg, alright, this is another individual that is very self-absorbed, very much wrapped up in her own mind, believing that she's all high and mighty, and we all know that Osha and May are universally rejected characters in the Star Wars world, right? So that's the one good decision that Bob Iger made weeks ago that now just came out yesterday, was canceling the Acolyte series. Now on top of this, with the Acolyte now officially cancelled and known to the general public, in recent weeks there have been many struggles between both Kathy Kennedy and Bob Iger as she desperately attempted to reinstate the Acolyte Season 2. Now one significant development now has more to do with actress Amandla Stenberg and what she had to deliver about the cancellation of the series, and blames toxic fans. As one who considers myself part of the LGBTQ community, I am a proud non-binary that got the chance to be a part of the amazing cast and crew, and unfortunately this is something that I have not been wanting to talk about for weeks now, but we will not be moving forward with a Season 2. I think we see this way too often in the film industry when studios fall to the loud, toxic minority of fans that come across as the majority. When you look at The Acolyte and what Leslye accomplished with the series, it was the rightful Star Wars show to properly address the LGBTQ community and to finally break away from George Lucas's vision. We properly addressed the growing issues with sexism and many other important things that needed to be addressed. What I find to be very offensive are the loud, toxic males that were responsible for making this story expansion difficult to be greenlit by those at Disney, and quite frankly, I think it's disgusting behavior to be so loud and opinionated over a fictional story or a tale that doesn't change anybody's lives. It's just Star Wars and something that was never fully meant to be for adults to begin with. I think fans need to, like Leslye said, chill already and really take a step back. Fans that had issues with characters like Osha and May, I think, are just coming from a place of misogyny. And the fact that these are the types of fans that can control the fate of these characters from getting their stories and told, I think, is what everything is wrong about in this industry right now. Now guys, before I move on, obviously she is going on to keep on blaming about the minority of fans. This is what Kathleen Kennedy did with The Last Jedi. It's nothing new. It's not a big shocker. Leslye Headland did the same exact nonsense about The Acolyte after it was cancelled by Disney. It's about the minority of fans. It's about the loud, toxic fandom, the toxic male demographic. These are the things that they always say when it comes down to Star Wars, or what other actresses have to say when it comes down to failed Marvel projects, right? So, this is exactly the type of response that you could always expect. As they want to protect the show at all costs, they want to defend it like no tomorrow, they will never admit full-on failure. They could have said, oh, what we did was wrong. What we did was, in some circumstances, canon-breaking material. But they will never actually say that. Now, continuing on, she goes on to continue, there is most certainly a silent majority of fans that were just afraid to come out loud and say they love the show in fear of being ridiculed, and Leslie really told me this recently, that you really just can't trust the reviews on social media and online. Many of the criticism that we got was blown out of proportion to sort of hop on the bandwagon just for the sake of doing so. What Leslie was able to do in this series by shifting away from Lucas's vision was absolutely necessary. So there she goes again. I mean, she's talking about how it was so necessary to shift away from George Lucas's vision. They obviously have a growing problem with George Lucas, and look, I've said this before, Kathleen Kennedy deserves to be fired over the Acolyte's failure, and I cannot stress this enough. I've said this many, many times. Even if you get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, I don't think it's necessarily going to fix anything. I don't believe it's going to fix Star Wars. It's not going to be like a magic situation where you get rid of her and suddenly everything just turns around. I don't think it's going to be like that at all. Quite frankly, I think somebody worse would come into play, or even if they got someone slightly better, you still have a lot of people that followed Kathleen Kennedy's overall agenda or her overall ideology. And there's a lot of them there, believe me on that. Now, moving onwards, she goes on to conclude, I don't care what anybody says about Osha and May, but they were the most revolutionary characters in Star Wars. I mean, when was the last time you saw two characters that are considered the same person? It was just the perfect twist and turn that Leslie came up with, since she was inspired to provide bold decisions like that when she was watching The Last Jedi. We just needed these loud fans to keep quiet already when it comes to other projects that feature women. I know I'm looking forward to the Rey Skywalker movie by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, and so is Leslie, and it's just going to be so exciting. So, seemingly here, now that the Acolyte is in the garbage, and they are now looking to the future, they are looking to the Rey Skywalker film. If Lucasfilm HQ, if Kathleen Kennedy had an ounce of logic in their minds, they would cancel this thing right now. Because there's no doubt in anybody's mind that the Rey Skywalker movie, and yes, I hate saying that name, is going to fail miserably, alright? Just because of that alone. The fact that she's taking the Skywalker title, the fact that we had Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy say things like how she likes to make men feel uncomfortable when it comes to, of course, her overall artistic style when making movies or projects. Now, here's the other problem. Is that you have someone like Leslye Headland, you have someone like Amandla Stenberg, continuing to blame the toxic male demographic, the toxic minority of fans. Look, it's the majority of fans. If it were not the majority of fans, the Nielsen ratings would be a lot better for The Acolyte. That's a fact. It's the majority of fans that had an issue with this series, and that's the reason why The Acolyte failed miserably, especially with the finale, on the official Nielsen ratings charts. And that is extremely revealing. The numbers do not lie. You can say everything that you want to say about reviews, but you cannot lie about numbers when it comes to ratings, especially on the Nielsen ratings chart. And that was an abysmal failure. It was the worst Lucasfilm production in Disney history. So overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.